another missile hits. Israel, Iran, war. They have been going at it for the last week. But what does this mean for the rest of the world? Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the series that teaches you how to speak English in high-level situations. In today's video, we will be discussing the Israel-Iran conflict and how it might impact Saudi Arabia, learning important words and phrases related to global politics. Let's begin. So before we talk about how it impacts Saudi Arabia's stability and its economy, let us just briefly summarize this conflict. In mid-June 2025, so around 2 weeks before filming this video, Israel launched attacks against Iranian targets. Iran responded by firing missiles and drones back at Israel, escalating already tense tensions between the two countries. Then, on the 21st and 22nd of June, a dramatic development occurred. The United States joined the conflict directly. U.S. forces used massive bunker buster bombs designed to destroy deeply buried targets. While the U.S. claimed great damage, Iran downplayed the impacts. Since then, the conflict has continued. Israel keeps expanding its strikes within Iran, hitting military targets and even symbolic sites, and Iran keeps firing missiles back at Israel and threatening wider retaliation, including potentially closing the vital Strait of Hormuz, a critical shipping lane in global oil. So, what was Saudi Arabia's reaction to all of this? Saudi Arabia and its allies focused mainly on de-escalation because they want to maintain regional stability. Why? Well, it boils down to economics and risk aversion. Regional tension hurts businesses. GCC leaders prioritize stability for economic growth. Conflict disrupts trade, scares investors, and threatens oil infrastructure and shipping lanes, and derails ambitious projects. The Gulf has a largely business-first mindset, and instability is bad for business. So what does this mean for Saudi Arabian businesses, investors, and the economy as a whole? The impacts depend heavily on whether the conflict escalates further or moves towards de-escalation. Let's look at some potential scenarios. So normally when a conflict like this happens, the stock markets are affected, but Saudi Arabia's stock markets are showing resilience up until now, and some are even trading up. However, prolonged conflict or major escalation, such as closing the Strait of Hormuz, as we previously described, would cause severe volatility. So there will be a lot of sharp price swings in regional markets, including Saudi Arabia's Tadawul. Now, the second thing that might be affected is, of course, oil prices. So if the Strait of Hormuz is threatened or closed, or if Iranian retaliation targets Gulf oil infrastructure, global prices could skyrocket. While this might bring short-term revenue for Saudi Arabia, it creates a massive global economic uncertainty, potentially triggering recessions in major economies that buy Saudi oil and goods. If other economies are facing recessions and need to cut their spending on oil as a result, Saudi Arabia will also be affected because its revenue is mainly dependent on oil. Another thing that might happen is supply chain disruption, increased insurance costs, rerouted ships, and potential attacks on shipping will disrupt supply chains. This could delay imports of goods and components into Saudi Arabia and make exports more expensive and slower, impacting many businesses. The last thing that might happen is that major foreign and domestic investors might postpone or reassess large-scale projects due to heightened risk. Tourism initiatives could be hit if regional travel feels unsafe. We are seeing this at the moment. All the flights within and across this region are being cancelled. This is destined to affect the tourism industry. But what might be the effects in the long term? Well, this is where the diversification initiative of Vision 2030 will come in handy. This crisis is a good reminder for why Vision 2030's goal of moving beyond oil is crucial. We should expect to see even stronger government and private sector focus on non-oil sectors like technology, manufacturing, and renewable energy to build a more resilient economy, less vulnerable to oil price shocks or regional conflicts. Another thing is that this is a very good opportunity for Saudi Arabia to demonstrate regional leadership. Saudi Arabia's strong calls for de-escalation position it as a voice of regional stability. Successfully navigating this crisis and helping mediate could enhance its diplomatic and economic influence, attracting partners who value stability as well. The last thing that might be affected is defense and security spending. Regional instability usually leads to increased government spending on defense and internal security, impacting budget allocations. Therefore, the government might not have enough revenue to carry out projects that are normally feasible or viable financially speaking, because they have to substitute for the increase in defense spending. So let's summarize all the points that we've spoken about. The first point is that stability is very important. Saudi Arabia's leadership and business community view regional stability as the bedrock of economic success. The current conflict is a major threat to this stability. The second thing is that oil is a double-edged sword. While high oil prices offer short-term gain, the conflict causing them creates long-term global economic pain, which ultimately hurts demand. Diversification beyond oil is more urgent than ever at the moment. The third important thing is that businesses should prepare for disruption. They should assess their exposure to potential supply chain problems, shipping delays, increased costs, and market volatility. The fourth thing is that diplomacy is the preferred path. Saudi Arabia is actively pushing for de-escalation and diplomacy. A peaceful resolution is the best outcome for Saudi businesses. So that's it for today's video. If you guys did enjoy it, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and make sure to check out the resources in the description box below to review all of the things that we have covered in this video, from vocabulary words, grammatic concepts, and more and more. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.